Hello everybody, this is me, Amin.
And this is Alex.
And welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the cheapest EV in Malaysia and whether you should get it or not. So, one of the biggest news in EV, I guess, in the past couple of months. Okay, so it's now May 25th and we're shooting this. So the past couple of months, I think this was launched within this month.
Yep, early this month.
Was the most affordable, was the cheapest EV you can get in Malaysia, which is the Neta V, priced at 100,000 ringgit.
99,000.
Okay, so affordable is relative here. I think 100,000 ringgit is a pretty hefty price to pay for a car. You get a lot of decent cars for that price. So a lot of the questions we get from our viewers and people talking to us is that, okay, if I'm going to try to buy or drive an EV, I would probably want to get the cheapest one out there because, low risk and everything. Then the question is, should I spend 100K on a Neta V? Okay, so we're going to try and answer the question whether the Neta V is a good car. What is a Neta V? What is Neta? And for the amount of money, would you spend it on an EV or on an ICE? If it's on an ICE, like internal combustion engine car, which one would it be? And then we're going to compare bargain basement EV, which is the Neta V. So this Neta V again is the cheapest EV you can get. So consider like bargain basement and the cheapest car you can get in the market right now, which I think is an Asia.
Yep.
And then we're gonna see which one's best lah. Now, Alex, you saw the Neta V during the Malaysian Auto Show, right? What is Neta?
Okay, so Neta is one of the EV startups in China because China is like EVs everywhere right now. There's like thousands new, I think 100 over EV brands out there, and Neta is one of the players. And so Neta has, I think there's 3 models. There's Neta V's, Neta U, I believe, and Neta S, the sports car. So 3 different models. The cheapest one is Neta V. So it's been sold in Thailand, I think in Nepal and India, and Malaysia is the new market. So as we all know, this is, like you said, this is the cheapest car in Malaysia.
The cheapest EV.
The cheapest EV in Malaysia, yes. And then so in terms of design, so this is like slightly like a mini hatchback SUV crossover thingy. I don't know what they call it. So
looks weird.
Looks weird. So it's essentially it's like a Myvi size car that's a bit higher.
Yeah, I mean it looks out of proportion to me.
Yep.
I don't know. I saw it also. I went to the auto show and I will save my first impressions for when after you finish about the car. Okay, so what do you get for 100K?
So, firstly, it comes with a single motor, which should be expected. It's front-wheel drive. The motor pushes 94 horsepower and 150 Newton meters of torque. So, like, pretty similar to what you get with like a City or Vios kind of car in terms of specs. But you look at the acceleration time, though, it has an acceleration time of 3.9 seconds.
Wow, so fast.
0 to 50. And it has a rated top speed of just 120 kilometers per hour. 120
is cruising speed for my V. That's like around town my V speed, not even on highway.
Yeah, so that's limitation. But of course, we all know that electric cars or EVs, they normally have a lower top speed. But this 120 is really low. It's like just slightly above the national speed limit. And in terms of battery, it gets a 38.5 kilowatt hour. Relatively small, quite similar, I think, in the same regions of the Nissan Leaf, which boasts a range of 380 kilometers.
Claim. I want to say claim because you're not going to get 380.
That's not the worst part. It's based on the NEDC cycle, not WLTP.
The older NEDC. So that is an older format.
Yeah, it's more generous in terms of figures.
And it doesn't focus on city driving and all that. So if it says 380, you got to like minus maybe 40% from that. You got to take away 40% to get actual real world mileage. So you're not going to get 380 kilometers from 38.5 kilowatt hour battery.
I would say safely it's like maybe 250 to 300 at most. 300 is like super light footed at most.
Yeah.
So and then but here's the impressive thing. It supports 100 kilowatt of DC charging.
Which is I find it quite weird because 100 kilowatt DC charging, right? That means
It's
okay,
faster
that's
than it's just higher than most of other EVs out there.
more premium EVs.
There's more premium EVs.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
the BYD Atto can even do. I think BYD Atto 3, the range, the higher range one, is
Uh-huh.
like 88 kilowatts, and then the Honda, I think it's like 77 kilowatts. So it's 100 kilowatts.
But I want to point out the charging time is the same. In fact, this one the charging time is lesser because from 30% to 80% takes 30 minutes.
And this is a smaller battery.
For DC charging, and it's only 38 kilowatts, which is 30% capacity of the Kia EV6. So the Kia EV6 has 77 kilowatt hour battery.
About half lah.
This is
about half.
40%.
Yeah, and like for example, although the paper says 100 kilowatt, how long can it sustain 100 kilowatt? Maybe only for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Or maybe 5 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in terms of AC charging, similar to what you get on most Chinese EVs, it's only like single phase 6.6 kilowatts. So
that's super slow.
Super slow. And it takes 8 hours to charge this tiny battery. And in terms of the size, it looks quite spacious because it looks like a hatchback on steroids. So it's a 5-seater car. You have a boot that's slightly bigger than my V. It's about 335 liters. My V is about 277 liters.
Okay.
And it has a taller roof. And in terms of wheelbase, surprisingly, it's narrower than a my V because the wheelbase is
You mean shorter?
shorter wheelbase. It's only 2.4 meters long.
Because it doesn't have an engine, so maybe it doesn't need a longer wheelbase.
Yeah, because normally like EVs, they normally have longer wheelbase to put bigger battery, and then they have shorter overhangs. But maybe because this car has a smaller battery, right?
Yeah.
They don't need to stretch the wheelbase so much. But I think in terms of interior, right, they try to be a bit like Tesla in the sense that it has a simple dash. You have a huge screen in the middle, about 14.6 inches, which controls almost everything.
That's the size of a laptop.
Yeah, 14.6 inch. It's bigger than most EVs out there right now in terms of screen.
One of the biggest, I think.
And then in front of the driver, you have this tiny little strip, like a monochrome LCD display, 12 inch that goes across, which looks like, like the digital get a calculator.
Like
very
a
basic,
digital clock
kind of thing. And then it's positioned above, so I think they try to go for that, the Peugeot kind of approach that you need to look over the steering wheel instead of going through it. And then the steering wheel is a 2-spot steering wheel, and it has this red lining in the middle.
What's that for?
Like for like most of the race cars,
racing feel, is it?
Yes.
Because it hits 50 kilometers in 3.9 seconds.
Yes, and it's such a big screen, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't support Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, but it supports screen mirroring. So basically, it's that you can just project the screen, but you can do the touch. It doesn't transfer the touch over.
Oh my god!
But another redeeming feature is that it has vehicle to load. Up to 3.3 kilowatts. So this, whatever battery...
You can take it camping.
Yes.
And then after that, the battery finish. Then you cannot go home.
Yeah, so it has that. And then, but I think...
Oh my God.
And then also, we see in the car also, right? The interior is very scratchy. It's like... What do you expect? It's like the quality of the plastics inside is what you expect to see from a car that's priced under 50K. I think even the new products, I think feel much better.
I think the Asia feels more premium.
Yes, a lot of scratchy plastics is all black. And then, but I think the biggest crime is that in terms of safety department for a car at this price, 100K, the safety tag, right?
Yep.
Is basically Saga level, base Saga level.
It's baseline Saga.
Yeah, it's like 2 airbags. You got AB. I think I think the stability control. ESP. And then the only luxury thing you get is passive cruise control. There's no
Which
AEB.
is normal cruise control.
Yes.
It's not. It's just normal cruise control.
Which something you don't get in a Saga, cruise control. So that's the added bonus.
Why would you want a cruise control on a car that can only go
up to 120?
What?
Yeah. Obviously, with the speed, that's not meant for highway cruising. And it just have a reverse camera.
Yay. It's gonna look good on the big screen, 14 point.
Yes. And then Jonathan, he managed to get a test drive, right? And then he said that the reverse camera looks weird because the aspect ratio is like super stretched.
Because the display is weird.
Yeah, the display is weird.
No, it's not the display is weird because the display is so huge. They didn't figure out that I gotta crop I gotta resize the screen for the
reverse camera
to match the width. To account for the space I have in the 14-inch screen.
Yep.
They didn't figure that out.
Yeah, and then another big problem with the Neta is that basically the seats, right?
Yeah.
There's no height adjustment, and the steering wheel is fixed. You can adjust for tilt. Don't talk about telescopic. You can adjust for tilt.
Am I in 1999 What's good?
Wait, 999, right? Even the Sagas, you can have adjustable steering wheel already.
Yeah, I remember when I was driving a Satria in 1999. It had tilt adjustable steering wheel.
This basically,
What is this?
This basically Asia, the previous gen.
Wha-
Even
okay.
the new Asia, right? You can adjust the steering wheel.
If you can give me a 14.6 inch screen, right? Can you not give me an adjustable steering wheel?
Like, can you
How
just,
much does that cost?
I'll take a adjustable steering wheel over a big screen. You give me a basic, no screen also can. Just give me a basic wheel. I don't care. Just make sure that the driving position is right. I can get comfortable easily. But so that's the thing. Like they prioritize on the techie stuff, but they forgot about the the drivability.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest disappointment. So John went for test drive.
That is the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, because you know why? Because yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because John was okay. John, okay.
I think there are a lot of disappointments in this car, but I'm surprised that non-adjustable steering column is the biggest.
No, because the rest, right, is like you can live with it. But I think it's the driving position that's something that's very
Yeah.
important. You can't get that right.
Yeah, you gotta customize your own seat, and
I don't mind the rest of the other floors. You can live with it, but come on, the steering wheel and the seats, that's something that needs to be adaptable. Because Duke, he's quite a tall fella.
Yeah, I think he's close to 6 feet.
Yeah, and then when you try to get in, right, just to get into the seat, right, his legs already like grazing through the steering wheel, so he needs to like roll under the steering wheel to get into a comfortable position.
So when he's driving, he can drive with his thigh lah.
Something like that. So it's basically the steering is on his lap already.
That means he got automatic auto cruise, lah. auto steering.
Auto steer, yes. So that's like, come on, man. For a car this price, can you at least sort this out first before you think of other things?
Okay, is that an option for other countries? Was it an option, or do we know if it's
No idea. But we do know that there is a higher spec Neta V with more advanced safety features. That's all we know. Yeah.
Okay, are you done talking about it?
Yeah. I mean, what else you want me to talk about? I mean, that's pretty much it.
Okay. John. Okay, John did a test drive, right? And he keeps telling me that he said that the car is not bad to drive. It's comfortable, easy to drive. Then I asked him, right? But then, John, this is a 100K car. Are you putting your standards so low that, okay, it's a decent drive, that means I can spend 100K? Or are you looking, what kind of lens I mean, if I was driving the car, I would like, no man, this is not 100K.
Yep. Definitely it's not 100K.
This is not 100K. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves here, because I remember we started the show saying that, okay, we're going to talk about the Neta, we're going to talk about a 100K alternatives,
Yes.
and then we're going to talk about a baseline ICE vehicle and compare that with the Neta, because baseline compared with baseline, we don't look at the price, right?
Yep.
The cheapest EV with the cheapest ICE car.
Yep.
And then we're going to say whether you should get a Neta V or not.
Yep.
But already so far in the show, we can tell you that this is a bad reputation to EVs, man. Seriously,
You can tell where is this heading just looking at the specs alone. Yeah.
I cannot recommend anybody, if you want to try an EV, right? I think you get a second-hand Kona EV.
Yep.
There are
proper
some
EVs,
in the market. I saw on Facebook salespeople are like doing sales for demo units. I think you can get like a demo unit for the Hyundai Ioniq 5, the light spec or the plus spec. You spend a bit more. Look, if you have 100K, right, don't buy an ICE.
Okay. If you have
Don't buy an EV.
If you have 100K, right? Let's say, for example, you have spare change, right? I want to try the cheapest EV, right?
Wow, 100K spare change.
Yeah.
Damn.
And for example, you just want to find the cheapest EV, right? I think it's better for you just buy a second-hand Zoe, which I think some people are selling for like 40K. Because yes, the battery might degrade,
Yes.
but overall it's better to drive. And you have similar safety,
Maybe
similar
the
safety specs.
seating position is better.
Yeah, I think it's much more comfortable to live
Or
in.
get like
it's
a
more
Nissan
premium.
Leaf or something like that. Or try a hybrid first. I don't know. I mean, okay. Here's my thoughts on the Neta. I think it's I'm sorry to the people that bring Neta to Malaysia. Maybe they have better plans. Maybe I don't understand what their ideas are, but I have to tell you, this is a terrible car. Plastics are scratchy, hard plastics all over the place. Not being able to adjust your seat height and your steering height is dangerous because it has the steering has airbags.
Yep.
If it's not adjusted properly, then the airbags wouldn't work properly. I'm surprised that this even is allowed in Malaysia because it wouldn't even pass NCAP. because you cannot adjust the steering properly to protect the driver. In terms of its power and battery and range, I think this would work as a city car.
Yep.
You cannot get point to point going up the Plus Highway without stopping, and you have to wait 30 minutes to get the car from 30% to 80%, which
For
is
a tiny battery.
Yeah, which is probably another 200 kilometers. You cannot take this across states in Malaysia.
You can't just need to wait a long time.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to change a lot of your driving habits to figure this out. On top of that, 6.6 kilowatt charging. On top of that, if you're getting a Neta, if you're staying in your own house, you gotta invest in a charger.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna invest in a charger. All of the chargers in Malaysia, not all, okay, most of the chargers in Malaysia at least support 11 kilowatt. This car takes only 6.6, half of what a charger is capable of doing, and you need 8 hours overnight to charge this car.
I think that's not a big issue because most of the other Chinese EVs like the BYD Atto 3, they're also like single phase 7 kilowatt, and you're gonna charge at home overnight. It's not an issue. That's the least of the problem of this car. That's the least of the
Okay, and then only 2 airbags.
Yes. That's the thing. For this price range, right? I think it should be illegal to sell cars your AEB for this price range.
I agree.
Or
No,
any
no,
car
it
at
should
all.
be illegal to sell cars without 6 airbags. In Europe, you need minimum is 6 airbags.
And at least AEBs now.
Yeah, there's no protection for the thing. In Europe, right, for you to sell the car, you need seatbelt sensors for the rear occupant as well, or else you can't sell it. And here we have an electric vehicle that's priced at 100,000 ringgit with subpar safety equipment being sold in Malaysia. Again, I have to apologize to people who are bringing the Neta in, but this is something that I don't think I can recommend. And with that, we end the show.
All right. Stay tuned next week. No, but you want to go through like what other options you can
Okay.
get?
So 100K. 100K gives you tons of options. So let me go through my picks, right? So if I have 100,000 ringgit to spend on a car, I have 3 choices, right? Number 1, the top of my choice would be the Proton X50 flagship model. Has power, has looks, has all the really nice features. It's a bit more than 100, so it's 113,000. But you take a loan for 7 years, you amortize that across the loan period. I think it should be not much more than what you're paying for the Neta.
Yep.
If you're going for below 100K, maybe you can consider the Nissan Almera. It looks really nice now. Doesn't look like a dugong like the first model.
Yes.
It has a 1-liter turbo engine. It looks really smart.
And it's AEB.
Yes, it has all the safety features, 6 airbags and stuff like that. And it's priced below 100K, 90,000 ringgit. I think the Almera is a really good buy. I don't know why I don't see a lot more of it on the road. And then if I want to go crazy, I want to go bling bling, right? It's going to be the Honda City Hatchback RS eHEV. And that's probably the best transition if you want to move from pure ICE to electric. Because this hybrid vehicle actually has a stronger motor, and the motor can actually power the car. I remember you were telling me, right? It powers the car up to a certain speed, and then when it goes on to highway mode, then only the engine kicks
drives,
in.
Yeah, to drive the
something
wheel,
like that. Sorry for the viewers, I don't have full details on it, but generally, with the City Hatchback RS eHEV, you will be using more of the electric vehicle. You'll be using more of the electric motor than you normally would on a Honda hybrid or on most normal hybrids. So it's more dependent on the electric componentry than the engine itself. The engine functions as a generator to charge the battery and sometimes power the motor and not directly power the vehicle. If that makes sense. You get what I'm saying, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically, petrol engine is more like a genset, and it will drive the car only at cruising highway speeds.
Yes.
When it's
At
most
above
efficient,
above 100 or something, right?
80,
You were
100 plus.
telling me?
Yeah, when it's the most efficient.
Yeah. And there's like a not gear lever. There's like
There's
a
no gearbox.
gear
It's a
mode.
switch.
Yeah.
You switch between electric or the petrol engine.
Yeah. And then like above a certain speed, it goes back into motor mode or something like
There are
that.
a few modes, like there's pure EV, there's an engine only, there's also a hybrid. Basically, the petrol engine is just generating power to the electric motor.
Yeah, so talking to you about this, right? If anybody wants to go into electric, right, then maybe the Honda City Hatchback RS eHEV is a better electric experience than the Neta V. What would you get for 100K?
For me, similar to yours, but for the price, right, closer to 100K would be the sedan version, Honda City EHEV RS. That's going for 105,000 ringgit. And I think most crucially is that it's all the bells and whistles. It has 6 airbags.
Yep.
It has AAB,
Honda sensing.
Honda sensing.
Yep.
So all these safety features, it ticks all the right boxes.
Yep.
And if you want the size and you don't mind, not having AAB, of course the next option would be the Proton X70 Standard. If you want a big car, size is all that matters to you. So that costs 100. That costs us 100,000 ringgit, 98,000 ringgit, 800 ringgit. So you save 1,000 ringgit
for the size, and it doesn't have AAB. So
but it has 6 airbags.
Pay more attention on the road lah.
Yeah, correct.
Basically.
Yes, you want size. And then another option is besides Honda City would be the Toyota Vios if you want to go full ice. So that's like 95,000 ringgit for the high spec.
I don't like the Vios. I don't know why.
I mean, I prefer the City, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't explain why I don't like the Vios, but I don't like the Vios, and I don't like the what's the hatchback? Yaris either.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for all of you guys driving Vioses and Yaris.
But objectively, it's still a much better car than Neta.
The Neta, yes, for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
For sure. Dude, and Azia Azia is a better car than the Neta.
Yes.
I'm sorry to the Neta people again, but I'm sorry. Okay, so we started with the conversation about whether you should spend whether Neta V is a worthwhile EV to spend for 100K, right? We talked about that, and I think it's clear what our opinions are on that. And then number 2 is to talk about, okay, for the same amount of money, what car can you recommend? And we talked about the ICE cars,
hybrid cars,
and the hybrid cars. So both of us would pick a Proton. You would get like a X70 or a City sedan. I would go for X50 or a City hatchback RS, or maybe an Almera if you want to go below 100K. Then what were we supposed to talk about? We're supposed to talk about
the cheapest ICE car.
The base spec, the cheapest ICE car versus the cheapest electric car. So the cheapest ICE car on the market right now is the Azia G variant, which is 38,000 ringgit.
Yeah. If you want a bigger car, there's the Saga 34,800.
Baseline.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go for the cheapest one first. What do you get in the Azia? You get a 1-liter engine,
3-cylinder that pushes 50 kilowatts. 50 kilowatts? How much? 50 kilowatts is about
maybe less than 100.
Yeah. Is 67 horsepower.
Wow, that's terrible.
But it's a light car, so it's okay. And then 91 Newton meters of torque. But the fuel consumption is 27.4 liters.
Yeah, you get really good fuel consumption. I saw on social media as well, a lot of people who are driving Azias, the new ones, are saying that, wow, this is really good fuel consumption.
Yeah.
It's 3-cylinder, low power. I mean, what do you expect, right?
Yeah. But it's frugal. No doubt about it.
Is it still 2 airbags on the baseline?
The baseline is 2 airbags. Only the highest spec has 6 airbags.
So that's the Azia. I forgot the variant, but it's about
SFG.
50K, about 45.
The low spec is 38. That's 2 airbags. The high spec is AV 49,500. That's slightly below 50.
So that's 6 airbags.
And then you got the...
Is there Pro sensing?
Yes, Prodora's Smart Driver Assist. So you have the pre-collision warning, pre-collision braking, basic AEB lah. And then you also lane departure warning and prevention, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert. You have parking assist, basically the usual stuff lah, but no cruise control lah.
It's the whole shebang lah.
Yeah, it's a cruise control.
And then I think I remember I talked about this in a previous show. I don't remember what show, but we talked about it doesn't mean that if Prodoa has AEB and cross collision warning and all that it works better than maybe a Mercedes or Kia for that matter. So there is this thing what I call fidelity. So the level of accuracy and smoothness of how the safety features implement themselves in the vehicle depends on the car actually. So I think Mercedes has one of the best implementations. Prodoa, it might be a bit rough, but at least you have something rather than nothing.
Yes.
You have blind spot assist and all that. You don't have that in the Neta V. Even if you go for the highest spec Azia, which is about 47,000 ringgit.
49,500.
About 50,000. Half the price of a Neta V. You get more things.
Yes.
So why would you spend 100,000 ringgit on a Neta V?
0 emissions. That's the only thing. That's the only difference at all.
Oh my lord.
Yes.
Anything else you want to add? I think that's pretty much it in terms of today's discussion.
Yeah, it's pretty clear cut. For me, it's this. If you want to buy an EV, the cheapest EV, what's the cheapest EV you should go for? Even considering of getting.
I would get a second-hand Kona.
Second Kona.
Yes.
For me, is the cheapest I would recommend still right now is to get the BYD Atto 3. That's the cheapest car you should consider if you want to buy.
Cheapest brand new lah.
Brand new
Are you
EVs.
saying cheapest brand
Yes,
new?
cheapest brand new to consider.
The BYD.
Yes.
Yes, but that is around, that's 60K more, right? So that's about
149. So 50K more.
It's 1.5 times more than the. Wait, it's 50% more than the.
Yep.
Neta V.
Yeah, but you get a lot more. It's like, okay, think about it this way, right? So if you considering between the BYD Atto 3
Yes.
and BYD Atto 3 and the Neta V, right? It's like, okay, it's 50K less, but it feels like you're getting way more than 50K less.
And if you are going to spend all the money on upgrading the V, put in a bigger battery lah, put in the EBD, AES, whatever, all these new things, right? It's
Even
going to
if you
cost
can, yes.
more than 50K.
Yes. So yeah,
So cheap is not always good,
yeah,
and good is not always cheap.
yeah. But but there's still hope though, because the
What are you hoping for?
Huh?
What are you hoping for?
because there are cheaper options that are slated to come to Malaysia. Like for example, after the BYD Atto 3, there are plans to bring the BYD Dolphin to Malaysia. So it's like a hatchback EV.
Yes.
Yeah, and that in Thailand is about 800 baht, so it's about 100,000 ringgit.
Oh, okay, 100,000. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but I think reality, probably expecting maybe 110.
But that's
120.
100,000 ringgit plus taxes in Thailand, right? So
Yes.
if it's without taxes and it's going to come to Malaysia, it's probably going to be lower than that, lower than 100,000 ringgit.
Might be, it might be not, because Thailand's tax structure is a bit different. Because Malaysia is just totally no excise, no import duties. So Thailand is you still pay a little bit of tax, but they throw in extra incentives. Like I think no mistake is close to 20,000 ringgit off the price tag. So that's the reason why the Ora Good Cat in Thailand is so much cheaper than Malaysia, as well as the Neta V. Neta V in Thailand is like 75K, but one Malaysia is 100K. So besides the taxation thing, is that because Thailand they actually throw additional 20,000 incentive. So I would say for the Dolphin, probably close or slightly more.
Speaking of taxes, there's another thing you need to consider. So right now, if you buy an electric vehicle, you enjoy a tax-free period. You don't have to pay excise duty. You have to pay sales tax, and you don't have to pay road tax all the way until 2025, if I'm not mistaken, towards the end of 2025. The biggest question right now is, if you buy an Asia 1 liter engine, the road tax is super cheap.
Yes.
What we don't know is, so the government has already put out the tax calculation for electric vehicles. They have not changed that, right? It has not been updated, and it's ridiculous. Take for example, the Kia EV6, the car that I drive, the car that Alex drive. The road tax on that car is 3,500 ringgit or something like that.
I think to put things in the clearer context, like the Kona, for example.
Yep.
The Kona 1.6 liter N-line, which produces close to 200 horsepower, 195. The road tax for that is 90 ringgit, because for petrol car you count based on 1.6, so 90 ringgit.
You count on the CC.
Yes. And for EVs, you count based on power output. So the EVs also about 200 horsepower. Similar horsepower, right? So you see the
It's
output.
power output based on kilowatt, right?
It's kilowatt.
Not horsepower.
Yeah, but in terms of the output for both cars, are very similar, petrol and EV. Just because it's EV, right? And based on that calculation, the Kona electric costs 900 ringgit. So it's like 10 times more. Petrol 90, EV 900. Both about 200 horsepower. So it doesn't make sense.
How much would a road tax for the Neta V cost? It's what?
Now, how much?
It's
quite low.
It's 94 horsepower.
Yep.
Which is about, I don't know how many kilowatts is that.
Yeah, I need to check that out. But it's still
it's going to be in the hundreds lah.
Yes, there will be much
because
more.
It's based on power output.
Yeah, so it's not fair. So Anthony Lok, the Transport Minister, said that they are reviewing the structure and it's expected to be announced towards the end of this year, and it'll be part of the budget 2024 announcement. And of course, right now, like you said, road tax is free until the end of 2025. So whatever structure they're going to announce, they will take effect from 2026 onwards.
Yes. And okay, now for those of you who are interested in, like, okay, you're still adamant. No. There should be, for EVs to be massively and widely adopted, there should be cheap EVs below 100K for everybody. I think you're not wrong. I agree. Yeah, cars that are about 50 to 80K, a lot more people can buy, and that should foster the adoption of electric vehicles in the country. The problem is, I don't think any car manufacturer is making EVs at that price range. That's number one. Number two, the problem is the tax incentives that the government is giving out for EVs right now is only for cars priced at 100,000 and above. If an electric vehicle is below 100,000, 80,000 ringgit, for example, then they will be taxed accordingly. I guess it's a similar structure as what cars get taxed now.
Yeah, and then so which means that a cheaper car could cost more than a more expensive car.
Yeah. So a lot of people are saying, I'm waiting for the BYD Dolphin, like you said, right? So it's going to cost maybe below 100,000 ringgit. Well, if it costs below 100,000 ringgit to sell in Malaysia, then it's going to get the tax.
But if that happens, similar to the Neta, they need to mark it up to 100K mark just to meet that requirement. So the bare minimum is 100K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they do mark it up, that means that's a huge margin for the seller.
Yes, have to. But at the same time, if you think about it, hey, you're going to pay 100K for this car, right? Must have top up a bit more to get the Atto 3, which is a much bigger car. So that defeats the purpose of having an affordable car.
I think the issue here is our government, the people who are making all this decision is a bit slow in terms of adapting to all these new policies. Even with the current EV ownership experience, we have issues with the standardization of charger installation,
The guidelines.
the guidelines for that,
Certification.
certification, and whether what are the regulations for installation of EV chargers in high-rise buildings. There was this one ruling say cannot
Install chargers in basement car parks and multi-story car parks. Hello, look at worldwide, like Singapore, in
Hong Kong,
Indonesia, or all that. They install chargers indoors, right? And even Tesla superchargers, they also install in shopping mall car parks because obviously you want to put chargers where people stop for a long time.
Yeah, so I guess that's another frustration. I think that one maybe is for another show. Let us know if you want us to talk about the state of EV in Malaysia and where it's going. Because the other question that we talked about before we started the show was whether you should get an EV or not.
Mm-hmm. The cheapest EV.
No. It's okay. Number one is, should you get the cheapest EV? Or for the same price, should you get a ICE? And then it's like the cheapest EV versus the cheapest ICE.
Yep.
Then the other thing that we wanted to talk about, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, should you get an EV?
Mm-hmm.
Is an EV the right thing for you?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know whether we want to discuss that now.
I think it's good for another show.
Yeah, it's good for another show. But I feel like I should answer it now. Okay,
well,
I don't
you want to
know.
know? Tune to the next episode.
Why don't you put it in the comment
Yes.
and let us know? I think EVs are cool, to be honest, and I'm driving one. It's a really smooth experience. I have a charger at home, so not really an issue for me. I don't do a lot of long distance driving with the EV. In fact, I have a Carnival for long distance driving, so I don't have an issue. But maybe for me it's different because I have two cars. For people who only have one car and they want to go balik kampung, maybe it's an issue. So maybe that's something that we should discuss in another show.
Oh, before I forget, another potential change in the next 2 years is that Proton and Perodua, we've been told to accelerate, to make cheaper EVs. Because hey, what's up with you guys? What is your EV plans? Because Proton initially said that they were thinking of bringing EVs like 2027. And now
new energy vehicle, not EVs, right?
No, EVs, real EVs.
Okay.
So recently, Proton's deputy CEO said, they actually, responding to what the Ministry of International Trade and Industry has said, right, to expedite the production of affordable, locally assembled EVs. They said that they are working with Geely to identify a model to release as early as 2025. So that's something in the works.
It's all in the pipeline, lah. So if it's not confirmed or anything, don't hold your breath on it, lah.
Yeah. So basically, the way I look at this, Geely has a lot of EVs in their own, in their own basket, which they can rebash and make Malaysia as a right-hand drive market. But it seems that Geely is not really confident in Malaysia right now. I think we've seen that in the Geometry launch.
Yeah, it's because of the policies of the government. I think that's the biggest issue right now.
And even like in the recent Proton X90 launch, because they invited the chairman of Geely, Li Shufu, he also said, during the presentation, he also said NEVs. So NEVs, for those who don't know, is basically new energy vehicle. So it looks like, from the way I gather, it's like they're not ready to jump fully on board on EV yet for Malaysia.
In Malaysia.
So they want to start with hybrids.
Yeah,
so
because they are fully EV.
Yeah, they have a lot of EVs.
Yeah, they have a lot of EV vehicles.
Like Geometry, Zeekr, all the cool EVs. Even the Lotus.
Yeah. Is Geely.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So, why didn't they have platforms, they have options. They can really quickly change something into a Proton.
Yep.
Like how they did the X50, X70, X90.
Yes.
not a problem.
Yeah, they can, but the matter is when.
When, and also the facilities. So assembling or manufacturing EVs in Malaysia is another daunting task. You have the issue of battery supply, blah 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 blah. But I think that's a discussion for another show.
Yep.
It's my cue to say, if you guys if you guys want to, you can also listen to us on podcasts. We're available where you listen to your podcast. Just search for Let's Talk About Sorry Chin Chow, and we're there. If you're listening to us on podcast, do give us a 5-star rating because that helps the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up if you like the show. Drop us a comment on what you think of the show, the topics we talked about. Because we did the X90 show and we got a lot of views and a lot of comments on from there, and that inspired us to do similar shows along a similar line. So, you have any ideas or suggestions on what we should talk about? Car comparison or phone comparison? Let us know, and we'll do that for you. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to our channel. That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Oh yeah, voice note. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to drop us a voice note, you can do so by sending an email to us at letstalkabout@soyachinchow.com.
Yeah, that's for our podcast listeners. If you want to drop us a comment and say, I have something to say about, I love the Neta V. I made a booking on one, and here are the reasons why I bought it.
Yep.
Please do. I would play that voice note for sure. Okay. That's pretty much it. This is me, Amin.
This is Alex.
Catch you guys later.
Bye.